So now you can go.
Mtumie kijana link.
Because you are used to open a bank account and you have to leave another 5,000. You have an account. So I was worried, Daktari, because those are just an account that I can transfer. I've not put in anything. I've not been asked the myriad of questions. The man who was there told me, "You go, we know you." And I think equity, we owe them a round of applause. As a ministry, we are very happy, and as Kenyans, because the others are caught up. Now we have a liberalized banking sector. As a ministry that is dealing with the rest of the world, we are very happy because we have case study elsewhere about our banking sector, and we are very happy that almost 100% of this function that we are doing is in collaboration with the banking sector. We are very happy about that. As I invite you, Dr. Monty, we have about 585 diaspora here. Some of them are leaders of very rich and vibrant diaspora organizations out there. We have four head of mission, high commissioners, plus their deputies who are also ambassadors, a number totaling 70. This room, Dr. Mwangi, will give you an opportunity to the world from one spot. I welcome you.
The PS, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Engineer Dr. Bishop, the Dean of Ambassadors, Excellency Lazarus Samayo, Director of Diaspora and Consular Affairs, Mr. Washington Law, Excellency Ambassadors and High Commissioners, Consular, ladies and gentlemen, defining principle to the Kenyan diaspora accompanying the excellencies this evening. It's really humbling for us at Equity Bank to be given an opportunity from one spot to speak to the world. And we want to appreciate this unique opportunity. We know we are and you try on very few, and then give you a few minutes so that we can address ourselves to our concerns by responding to about 5 questions. But just before I go to talk a little bit about our sponsor for the evening, Equity Bank, allow me to be the nationalist I would love to be and talk a little bit about our country. I know for Your Excellencies, we were with you in Mombasa, but I was not privileged to have the diaspora accompanying you in Mombasa. So if I repeat myself, it's not for lack of knowledge and awareness that you were listening when we were in Mombasa. It's simply because I feel it is important to let the world know that Kenya is a transformed economy. Julius has highlighted, and we decided, because I intended to keep my remarks very brief, to give you an invitation that has an exposition of who Kenya is. Kenya is no longer that African economy that is politically aligned. We got our insurance of stability when we changed our constitution and devolved our political and governance system. We addressed the concerns that Kenyans had about that. If there is a country that can be learned to have the mechanism of guaranteeing political stability, Kenya would be ranked #1, and I'm proud to be a Kenyan. People don't really appreciate that we changed our constitution, created an aspirational constitution underpinned on the sovereignty of the people during peaceful times. Very few countries in the world has ever achieved such a milestone, that you can create and change the status quo in terms of peace, in times of peace. The type of constitution we have, together with the reforms that we formulated during the time, particularly the legal reforms, the judicial reforms, the structural reforms, are best exhibited by what the economy has made. The things we are seeing is because of the reforms we have endured over the last 10 years to transform our economy. That is why we are having an exchange rate that fluctuates, but within manageable and acceptable rate. That is why we are having inflation that is predicted to remain within the projected range in the medium term and in the long term. That is why interest rates can be predicted to turn to one-digit number within the next 5 years. It's because the economy is headed to the right microeconomic environment, and the prices of an economy, whether inflation, exchange rate, or interest rate, will start behaving. That mirrors also what has happened to our politics. That we can do a very competitive election, and yet those who are not satisfied go to court and get judgment within 14 days, and judgment is accepted. That is what you call the panacea of political stability. And it's that we would like today to sell to you. That the fears and concerns that you might have had in the past have been addressed. The country may not be looking like the developed country, if I pick US or pick UK, because the status that they enjoy as a result of an evolution of nearly 250 years for the US and 600 years for Switzerland. Our evolution under the new constitution is just 4 years old, and you can see what we are enjoying. So you can imagine what our grandchildren and grandchildren will have 250 years to come. Now, that which we imagine our grandchildren will have must be shaped by the actions that we take today. That envisaged future will never materialize unless we act today to create the future. Now, there is no better position and place to people than the diaspora to shape that future by acting, by being engaged and involved in the transformation of their country. The diaspora is privileged in the sense that it's globally exposed, it's globally socialized, and is globally engaged, particularly in the aspirations of competitiveness that we want to achieve, driven by work ethics and the skills of our people. I want to invite you back to the country, not necessarily to come back if you don't want to come back, but to get involved and engaged in the transformation of this country. If you keep your money in Kenya, I will assure you your money is safe, and I will be lending it to fellow Kenyans. I'm giving you a competitive return. I want to assure you, if you open your accounts in dollars, so that I can give you a MasterCard, platinum or gold, because that's where you are, we can maintain the account in dollars so that there is no conversion when you swipe your card in Washington. But your dollars will be earning 3% rate of interest instead of the penalty that you are being charged when you deposit the money in Europe. You deposit the money in Europe, you maintain a balance in a bank in Europe, you are being charged. We will not charge you anything, but we will give you 3% rate of interest. We need foreign denominated accounts because sooner or later, mining, oil and gas, and our Kenyan companies that are going across the border will quickly dollarize our economy. To dollarize our economy, particularly because of oil, because the export will be all in dollars. It will not be in Kenya shillings. And it will not be equal to the amount of money for our tea exports. These will be oil. That oil needs to be financed. We at Equity are busy creating value chains for mining, oil and gas, manufacturing, and service industries. The challenge we would like you to give us is to develop a supply chain for the manufacturing factory that you want to open. I want to introduce you to Jumane Tafawa. Jumane Tafawa used to work with the World Bank in charge of SMEs and construction of value chains for the companies, international companies that were coming to Africa. We said, why don't you come to Africa and help us to develop our people to be the supply chain of the international companies working, coming to Africa. I want to give Jumane 2 seconds to give you his phone number so that you can contact him after the demand.
Thank you very much, Dr. Morgan. Again, Jumane Tafawa, and glad to support you in any way. I have a number of cards, so please feel free to engage me. I'll be happy to give my card away. So you have my full contact details as well. I'll be sure to write it so that you can take it down later.
Keep the number.
Okay. It's 0763, of course, 846 774. So that's 763 846 744. Thank you.
Thank you very much. If his accent was a little bit different, it's because we got him from Guyana in Latin America. If Latin Americans can come to Kenya, Kenyans can come back and develop their country. It has been, and it's a fact which we need to recognize. Our diaspora has the skills and the competencies that we need to develop our country. And we want to encourage you not to come to seek employment, but to come and seek investment opportunities. You may not have all the cash for the investment, but Equity makes money only when we lend the money. So we are willing and able to lend you money to complement what you have so as to. From Vision 2030, there are sectors that we have prioritized because we believe we have a competitive advantage. I want to give you the 6 sectors. The first one, which came last, but is now the priority, is mining, oil, and gas. We don't want our mining, our oil and gas to be in the hands of foreigners when we have able Kenyans who can do it. In Equity Bank, we have now hired a specialist, about 6 of them, to help our people to enter that sector, because it will be a transformational sector. That team is headed by Rohit. Rohit, maybe you can come. Because Kenya had no prior experience of oil and gas, we got Rohit, who was in Metro East, the region that has the highest oil volumes, and where trade is huge. Rohit will be able to structure your engagement and financing of your engagement in the oil industry. I want again to encourage you to think about oil. The second aspect is manufacturing. Manufacturing is because we now, by June, will have a 26 country common market. It's no longer the 40 million Kenyan market. The Kenyan market that we are exposed to will be made of East African Community, SADC, and the COMESA, 26 countries together. So the market is large enough to support manufacturing within the region. Kenyans, we can take advantage of that. Rohit has 6 global specialists in manufacturing to help our people set the manufacturing companies in Kenya. From Vision 2030, we are almost about to complete the free trade area, the economic zone in Mombasa. The master plan is complete. So where to locate your industry, you don't need to think about that. You just need to get an allocation of space on that economic zone, and a lot of them are coming. We have chosen Mombasa so that you can be able to use the motorized waterways of the Indian Ocean to supply the 26 countries, because the cost of transport in the inland element is much higher because of the nature of our infrastructure. I want to say, before I move from oil, the government have decided the pipeline will be to a great extent funded by local entrepreneurs, because it's a rental house that is occupied by oil from Kenya, South Sudan, Uganda, Ethiopia. You can't go wrong with the pipeline. Why give it away if returns are assured? The capital markets have been challenged to create the instruments that will enable Kenyans to hold that investment. The best people to hold it is diaspora, because you don't need the bank controls. So you are assured of the income because you'll be paid based on the oil that passes through the pipeline. These are massive projects. We're talking about 300 plus billion Kenya shillings. The question is, how much of this? There's enough space to accommodate all of us. The second industry is the service industry. In the developed world, banks grow by 2 to 3% if they are lucky per year. Equity has sustained a growth rate of 126% for 22 years. That is what has propelled number 66 out of 66 in 22 years to number 1 bank in East and Central Africa. That is the type of returns you get from the service industry. Return on total assets and a balance sheet growing at 25%. Tell me where else in the world you get such an investment. For every shilling that was invested in equity in the year 2002, they has 2,900 shillings from every shilling. If you have invested 1,000,000 shillings, you have 2.9 billion shillings from the service industry. That is not just going to happen to equity. The fastest growing subsectors will be retail and wholesale and the service sector because they are consumer-facing sectors. And Kenya, like the Western world, will become consumer economies sooner or later as the revenues and disposable income increase. That's a sector that you should focus on. You don't need to come and set your own enterprises. James Mwangi and others have already set enterprises and they are looking for investors. We are listed in the Nairobi Stock Exchange. I encourage you to buy a few shares. Equity has 30,000 shareholders with a market of 200 billion shillings. Be part of that investment. And beyond equity, after you have bought enough of equity, you can look which other counter you can buy. So that you can have a diversified portfolio. But there is no complete portfolio without equity, bank shares. The second aspect I want to say is that, and this is very important, our economy has been, and I'm grateful that foreign direct investment continues to flow, but the wealth we create in this economy disproportionately goes to the hands of foreign investors. Time has come for us to change that narrative. When I was growing up, there was no bank in the top 20 banks that was Kenyan. 2002, there was no Kenyan bank on the top 10 banks. Today, the first foreign bank is number 5. Equity number 1, number 2 Kenyan, number 3 Kenyan, number 4 Kenyan. We have the capacity and capability. We were trusted by Kenyans. We have learned how to reciprocate by trusting Kenyans. So come and we grow together. We have demonstrated with banking, giving Kenyans the pride of owning and managing the biggest bank in East and Central Africa. Our second objective is to conquer the second largest sector in Kenya, the telecom sector. We can assure you, by 2025, the biggest telecom company in Kenya will be owned by Kenyans, and it will be called Equitel. So it is gratifying if you could take a number like you had Jumane say, a 0763 series number, and you say, you know what? I believed in the Kenyan dream. I was a pioneer of the Kenyan transformation. If you don't believe in our aspiration, history is there to show you. We did it in banking. We disrupted the banking. We disrupt telecommunication so that our people can believe in themselves. We know the barriers that has been put through us. We were licensed by the central bank. We were licensed by the communication authority, but competition decided to go to parliament, to go to His Excellency the President, to go. We have 3 court cases still outstanding, but I can assure you, learning in our blood is the Kenyan blood and spirit. We shall overcome. And we shall give Kenyans control of the economy. If we control those two sectors, then we have demonstrated Kenyans can manage their economies. Show me an economy dominated by foreign companies, and I will show you another developed economy. Show me an economy dominated by locals, and I will show you a developed economy. There are not two ways of developing our economy. We must invest, believe in ourselves, so that wealth created in our economy remains in our economy. It's the cumulative effect of wealth creation that transforms the economy. We will not transform this economy by being assured about jobs. No employer pays you enough not to report the following day. An employer would just pay you just enough to ensure the following day you report to work. We can change that narrative by seeking to invest in our country to be entrepreneurs. It's not all of us who will be entrepreneurs, but those who have not entrepreneurial gifts can back those who have entrepreneurial gifts. And together, Kenyans, we manage our investment. We now, as Kenyans, own and manage the biggest bank. The next thing, Kenyans will own and manage the biggest telecom. Now, ambassadors will have a big responsibility to make that realization happen. We have agreed with the engineer, Dr. Bishop, who will do what one would call a tour of all the countries that host Kenyans to explain to them in details. In equity, we have developed now, and I hope it will be launched within 2 weeks, an innovation with the paper that will allow Diaspora to then manage Kenya on zero rates. So, if you haven't signed the paper, kindly and sign through equity, because we have exclusive rights for the whole of Sub-Saharan Africa. So you encourage even the other high commissioners and ambassadors for the countries that we are in, that diaspora remittances are now being transferred for zero balance. Within the next two, we have posted an equity portal that allows you to buy directly shares at the Nairobi Stock Exchange using your phone or computer and book them in a custodial from wherever you be. That will be using the Equity Investment Bank and our brokerage and custodial license. You no longer need to send money, you buy directly on an e-commerce platform. On the same platform, we'll be hosting the real estate investments that we are financing, and we are financed today. I could talk of Vita Green, I could talk of Suraya, I can talk of XGen on Mombasa Road. All those investments, private investments, we'll be putting them there, and you just click on the one you want to buy, and the transaction is done by our lawyers in the bank, and we guarantee you everything. You don't need to any longer save money to your relatives so as to buy a house in Nairobi. There will be much, much more. If I tell you all, you will not have interest in finding more. So I want to stop there so that I maintain the interest. But for the sake of evening, I will ask those from Equity Bank, wherever they are, to start. Very good. All those are from Equity Bank. If you two are sitting on the same table like Elizabeth, I can see, distribute yourself. Not through Equity people who should sit on the same table. Engage those people for the evening and find more about what we can do together. Allow me to be humble enough to thank your excellencies, ambassadors, for the great job you are doing for our country. But as you do that job, change the perception about our country. As Julia said, say our country hosts the most intelligent capital in Africa. That's a powerful statement. Our country hosts the only UN level A office in the developing world. That's a credential. Also say it's the third fastest growing emerging economy after China and Philippines. Now, what does those narratives change? They stop making us to be compared with failed states and to be compared with China in terms of investment. They stop being compared with our neighbors and we start being compared with Switzerland, which in Geneva hosts a UN office. Nairobi should be on the same, should be stopped on the same sentence with Geneva. That is Kenya. To me, that is the great responsibility that the university should have. Change the perception. Money will flow because nobody can beat us with investment. In the old days, I used to hear of rank over the last 3 years, nearly 40 companies have relocated their African headquarters from Johannesburg to Nairobi. This is the narrative we need to tell. It is good to talk about our lions, but please, let's change the story. We have been talking about lions since time immemorial. These safaris and sad beaches are good to talk about, but we have talked about them for 50 years. Our lives have not changed. Let's talk about game changers, things that will change the lives of our children and the remaining of our lives. We owe that to ourselves. And God, in His wisdom, conspired that we succeed by placing us as right on the equator. Instead of lions, talk of the second highest snow-capped mountain, which is transversed straight in the middle by the equator. While sitting on the base of the mountain, striking correct between the equator, you still see snow. Which other country can speak that? But the lion in Serengeti looks like a lion in Mara. Let's look at the uniqueness of our country and sell uniqueness. People pay for uniqueness. Let me stop there and give you 2 questions to answer. And we given 2 more minutes. Let me talk the last bit about education. Don't talk about lions. Talk about the Kenyan people on 2 fronts. The hospitality, because there will never be contradicted. I understand we are the most hospitable people in the world. So that will be a part. The second thing, talk about entrepreneurs. And if you ask like who, say like James Mwami. I will not fail. I will be a good testimony. Because in the year 2012, I was declared the World Entrepreneur of the Year. And I was also described, awarded the honor of being the African Person of the Year in the same year. Those who don't know, in 2007, I also won the Global Vision Award during the TH Summit. And in addition to my entrepreneurship, I'm an advisor to IFC, I'm an advisor to the UN, an advisor to Clinton Global Initiative, an advisor to Bill and Melinda Gates, an advisor to the G8, an advisor to the G20. I will not fail you. Talk about the human capital of our country. We are not only strong and energetic. Just compare a Kenyan and the people from East Asia. We look strong. Basically, but more importantly, that the colonialism, the only heritage we can talk about proudly is our education system that gives us the right to claim to have the highest human skill in Africa. We may not claim the highest population, but we can claim the population that has enjoyed the best education system. And that is why we succeed wherever we go globally. Those are the things that we need to talk about. Change the I can talk about. Yes, Equator have 8,000 colleagues, members of staff, we are 8,000. But the foreigners, Akina Jumane and Rohit, they are only 18. Only 18 out of 8,000. All the others are beneficiaries of our education system. The last one I want you to help us is the Equity Group Foundation. Today, I was very excited because the first cohort of Wings to Fly program did the exam last year. When the average Kenyan children, only 0.6 of our children got an A grade, 42% of the Wings to Fly orphans got A grades. Out of the 1,100 children that we sent to school, 650 are joining the bank 2 weeks ago to earn the university scholarship because all of them got an A grade. And you can watch their commissioning tomorrow on Citizen and K24 at 3:30 as Excellency First Lady Mama Kenyatta unveils that program. Out of those 600, I can guarantee you 70 will go to Ivy League schools on full scholarship. Now, that program is expected to provide you with the human capital you need when you establish. Over summer, so far we have 240 of the Wings to Fly kids in the US. 24 of them are in Harvard. Over summer, they work with IBM, General Electric. They have the right work ethics to come and work for you in Kenya. By banking with equity and something, you make us to be able to take a few more kids. You don't have to take one by yourself, but collectively, we can take more if you bank with us. Thank you very much for agreeing to bank with us. So, there are about 5 going types. The first one question comes. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, the CEO, of the great job that you've done. I'm from the Diaspora, United States, and my worry is one. So much for Kenya and too little for foreign investments. What plans do you have to use the diaspora resources in the diaspora, close to 3.5 million, to establish financial institutions so that they can be empowered to even do more remittance and be competitive in the countries of residence? Thank you, Mr.
Thank you very much. Let me take this opportunity to answer that question by inviting Anthony Gedenji and Moses Gitonga. I saw us in the room. One of the biggest challenges we have had serving diaspora is the mechanisms. And as I said, we now have developed a product with the PayPal, We've developed a product with Visa, a product with MasterCard that manages this. And those in London, those we have developed Equity Direct. These two gentlemen, Moses Kitonga works with IMF, and Anthony has developed his own business in the US. We're in partnership and said, how can we create this? I knew I didn't have enough time, and that's why I said, Dr. Kibisho, Engineer Dr. Kibisho has agreed we do a roadshow on all countries that have significant diaspora. We explain specific things. But because I may not also explain fully, tomorrow, kindly visit the Equity tent and find out the type of products we have for diaspora. We have a complete diaspora branch. John, where are you? John, John lived in the US for 17 years. When she came, we asked her to collect 26 diaspora people who have been in the diaspora for long and establish the Equity Diaspora subsidiary. That subsidiary is now live at Yaya Center. We call it Kilimani, and offers 24 hours, never closes, diaspora banking. A virtual bank, but with the physical premises, right opposite Yaya Center. But Joan with her team are here to explain everything we can do to support that. But I will ask Anthony to say what we are doing together. Anthony.
Thank you very much. First of all, I would really like to appreciate Equity Bank and all that you've done. First of all, one thing that is an enigma about the diaspora is sometimes it's just a name. But many times we forget that we are Kenyans first before we have a diaspora. We are powerful. We embody all the values that are really Kenyan. And in all the developments that we're doing in partnership with Equity Bank, we feel that we are actually citizens of this country. So in partnership with Equity Bank, we are deploying an ecosystem that allows an extension of our country in the diaspora. It's called Diaspora Global Connect. This is going to be a revolutionary product that allows Kenyans in the diaspora to access and also allow Kenyan corporations, government, and so on to provision their services seamlessly through this ecosystem. And I would like to thank Dr. Wangi very much for giving us that opportunity to partner with them and allowing Equity Bank to be a channel partner for Diaspora Global Connect. Thank you.
Thank you. So there is much going, but because I don't want to be between you and Dina, allow me not to go into details. The last question. If no question, oh, there is last one here. Mike, quickly, Ushai.
My question to you is, I'd love to come to it because I'm interested in getting you a good rate in loans. Like this Standard Chartered, for example, is giving me 4.9%. Why should I come to equity? And give me, for example, an interest rate of 9%. Why not just take my dollars to Standard Chartered? In as much as, of course, you talked about all this, but for me, as a Kenyan first, I want the cheapest loan available so I can do whatever I need to do.
Thank you very much. An excellent question. But just before you give out to the mic, when you deposit with them, how much are you giving? No, how much are you giving? Not on the penny, how much are you giving the last time?
The last time I asked for what I got.
No, not true. I said the deposit. Okay, somebody is answering for you 0.01. So if you add that and you are given 9, me you deposit with me, I give you 3%. And when you borrow in dollars, I don't rate you at 9. Our dollar loans are at 8. And I wish there were many customers who could tell. All our dollar is, yes, come tomorrow. Yes. Not tomorrow, John. Where is John? John, come and fill the roll from now. I think it's, and that is why I challenge you. Do you have the correct information? The correct information is available on our tent tomorrow. Enjoy your dinner. Thank you very much for a wonderful evening.
So what are James? A new account and a new one.